The following program is a Town of Colonie television production of the William K. Sanford Town Library.
Welcome to Albany County News. I'm Mary Rozak, the Director of Communications for Albany County. And in the next 30 minutes or so, we're going to be talking about water. Yep, water everywhere. We are going to have two experts in here to talk about the Albany Waterfront, to talk about their businesses and lots of things that you've been hearing about. So joining me today is the CEO, Bob Wolfgang of Tiki Boatworks. Welcome.
Thank you for having me in.
And we have the owner of the Dutch Apple Dutch Apple Cruise Line, right?
That's correct.
Anthony Renna, welcome.
Well, thank you. Thanks for having me.
So I think that anybody who has ever been to Albany, a startup, knows about the Dutch Apple.
I hope so. That's our goal.
I mean, the Hudson River. And for those who may, that's right. There may be some folks who don't, but we're here to educate them today on what they can do and how they can learn about the wonderful things that the waterfront and the Hudson River have to offer. And let's start out. I mean, Bob, I had the most wonderful couple of hours as a tour. Let's call it a 3-hour tour, right?
Almost.
The weather wasn't rough; it was just very hot. But we were down at the waterfront, and you took me around and you showed me all kinds of things at the port.
Yeah, it was a real pleasure, and unfortunately, as and Anthony and I both know this, that a lot of people don't know what is available down there. It's not quite what everyone would like, but there's something down there for everyone. Whether it be the bike path, which is simple, or that continues way up north along the river, or the barge where people can dine on the river. Some people drive by it and never know it's there or don't know how to get to it.
Sure.
But as I pointed out to you, you didn't know that there was a nice marina down just south of where Anthony is now. Springer Welding and Marina, where there's a nice restaurant where people can go for lunch. Where Anthony is with the Dutch Apple, right next to that is the Slater, and the Slater's been there since 1997. And I'm sure I'd still challenge. A lot of people probably don't know where the Slater is, or haven't taken advantage of the fact that we've got the only floating World War II destroyer escort, in existence. So,
and it really is amazing. I mean, what is it like, Anthony, to be like right there with that piece of history?
It's amazing. I personally have taken the tour on that twice, and it's a great tour. Meet a bunch of amazing World War II vets that come down there and spend their time down there working. A bunch of different Boy Scout groups go down there and do camps and overnights on it. So it's just really neat to have something right next to me every day like that.
Sure, and I know I've had the occasion to Memorial Day. There's always a very nice ceremony, and the county executive I know is at that ceremony, and to be there and to just see what I describe as pageantry. I mean, you see, the guns that are being shot, and you see the raising of the flag. You see everything that's happening, and it's amazing.
Man, the volunteers are taking it so serious, and it's very very passionate to them, and it shows. And the way that ship has come a long way from '97 when they brought it up here, it was in rough shape, and the way they're bringing it back and what they've done to it is absolutely amazing.
So you have overlapping. You actually would have overlapping. I would think, calendars where if someone's coming down for one, did they take advantage of going and going to boat?
All the time. Lots of people come down to us. They'll buy their tickets for the sightseeing cruise, and then they'll go to the Slater and take a tour, or they'll come down and do the sightseeing cruise with us, and then do the tour of the Slater afterwards. So we work together a lot.
No, we'll talk about some of that, but I mean, as we continue with the waterfront and the port, it was amazing. The marina. I did not know about the marina.
Well, I give him credit for sticking his neck out and trying something like that. It was a big investment. It was a risk for him, but he's got his marina. I think has upward to 50 boat slips down there, and that's pretty good. And a nice restaurant, and people can launch their boats. But he's south of basically south of
South of
the,
us.
U-Haul or south of the Dunn Memorial Bridge, and most people have no idea he's there. He's opposite
Sure.
what, that large 40 Broadway, warehouse. But,
Past the big U-Haul building, where
correct.
people see the U-Haul
You
truck.
can't
and-
miss the truck.
Can't miss the truck on top.
But yeah, down there, and then I was happy to be able to share something else with you, and it's a close friend of Anthony's and mine, or the Scrano family down at Scrano Boatworks or boat building, and they've been down there since 1974 is when they started their boat building business, and the type of boats they've produced from there, including I think one of the largest. One of the largest sailing boats that was ever built up in the Northeast that they were charged with building, but the workmanship and the skill level that they have down there, just kind of, and yet people don't know it's there.
No.
And it's a great place to see, doing it by hand. They go back and
It was amazing, going through the tour, and I know that we'll have them on.
Oh, I hope so.
Very shortly, so we can talk about that, because so many things, including the Dutch apple, were built by Scrano.
Yeah, the Dutch Apple was built in 1986 by the Scranos, and is actually their first powerboat that they ever built. Before that, they were doing primarily sailing vessels, and so that was their first big, large, passenger vessel like that, powerboat. And since then, they've gone on to build the Adirondack in Lake George, boats in Florida, Key West, Boston. So they're all over the country now.
Yeah, so it's always this very interesting stuff, and yet, like you said, Bob, you just don't know.
Don't know it's there.
That it's all
Exactly.
there. But, something that is missing, something that Colonie has, but that the waterfront is not, the Tiki Boatworks.
Well, I'm going to try to convince him into buying one of these days. But yes, Tiki Boatworks, as you know, and you're a supporter when you were in the county exec when we were trying to find a location to call home. But yeah, we're producing, basically Tiki boats, floating Tiki bars, and selling them throughout New York State and beyond in the Northeast. And since we first, had our ribbon cutting, we've sent out 6-7 boats now. There are 3 on Lake George conducting tours.
And I think I told you, I was up a couple weeks ago to Lake George, and there it was. I saw the Tiki boat out there.
We're going to get you on it. There are 3 of them up there. There's one we just launched a week ago Thursday on Saratoga Lake. They're going to be doing tours there. 2 are out in Buffalo now on the Niagara River, and 1 or 2 up in New Hampshire. But it's just one more thing that that's going on in the region, and in the way of manufacturing, and ultimately tourism and so forth that people are not aware of. So we're being.
Do you see a future with maybe one of them on the Hudson?
Yes, we're talking about it. We've actually, Anthony and Melissa and myself have spoken, and his father'd like me to launch one in his yard, but, the pool. But it's a distinct possibility that we'll have one down there, and it's more of a, it's a specialty cruise type thing that perhaps we can do together. But unfortunately or fortunately, we have more ideas, Anthony and I, than we have money, which is probably a good thing. But no,
That's the way some of us are, right? We just need a big pile of money from somewhere.
Yeah, but now we're looking. We both believe in this. We've been both on the river for a long time in various capacities, and we know the benefits that the city and the area can reap by being on the river. I watch the efforts of the city and obviously the county exec and in trying to develop these different things. And even if you look across to what Mayor Dwyer's trying to do across the river, we can all benefit by working together. And he's one of my good friends now, because we talk a lot about, well, we could do this or we could do that. So it's just a jewel that really hasn't reached its potential yet, but it's not for lack of trying on the part of us, a group of people who see that vision and share that vision.
Sure. What seems so odd, and we're on the Albany side, and we're on right on the water, and you're looking across, and the Albany Yacht Club is not on the Albany side, and you just wonder why there can't be that further development, something that would bring more down to our side.
But the interesting thing, and as you probably picked up on, Joe Martin, who has the marina, and some of the other property owners down there, including Anthony as a tenant down there, they are talking now. So there are all types of restrictions that govern what can be done from the U-Haul north on the river, and everyone's aware of those. However, that doesn't mean that we can't, there can't be an effort to develop from the Slater south, which is starting to happen now with the marina. And that marina, it's not Albany Yacht Club, but it's a beautiful, beautiful facility.
Very
the
nice.
equipment is all top notch. They've got all the facilities that people would need if they were to travel by boat to the area, so they can actually dock there. Before, there was nowhere.
There was nowhere, so this is
For people to dock
now.
in Albany, so they would
Sure.
go up and dock at the dock up in Troy, and then they visit Troy. Well, they might as well. There's so much in Albany, as you know, to take advantage of. Now they have a place that they can come into, all of these things are good, and we have people who are interested and have ideas.
Anthony, how often do you and others get together and talk about things that you'd like to see happen?
We tend to get together at least twice a year at a minimal. Myself and Joe especially, just talk about what's going on in the area, what we've seen or what we'd like to see change or do, and just constant communication. We work together. That's how we promote Joe and help his family in the restaurant down there in the marina and talk about them, and they do the same for us, and just kind of word of mouth, and because we're down there by ourselves kind of, and with the Slater and myself and Joe, and so we just kind of work together and help each other out. So.
You're in summer mode right now, so let's talk about the schedule. For folks, I know that everybody has the phones and they can look everything up, and I probably should, I don't want to put you on the spot, but I probably should ask you, there we go, DutchAppleCruises.com is the website where people can find out more information. But
Correct.
Summer schedule, how often are you out?
So right now we're doing our summer schedule. We run Wednesday through Sunday. We sail every day from 1 to 2:30. We start boarding at 12:30, depart at 1, and our ticket price is $19.95 a person, and children are $12. Kids 4 and under are free. We think it's a relatively, cheap way to come do something different, go on a boat ride. We have Hudson River historians on board that are talking about the sites, the history of Albany, the history of the river, some of the buildings and neat architecture that we see. And it's just a nice way to spend a couple hours on the river.
It's a great way. I mean, I've been there. We were on at the same time. So I said, I know you. It is a lot of fun. Do you find that there are more families that are taking advantage of that?
Absolutely. We have people from all ages. What we see primarily is a lot of people come on the boat, they enjoy their experience, and then when they have relatives come from out of town, they bring them back onto the boat. So we see a lot of repeat business and repeat customers. It's fun to get the kids up in the wheelhouse and they drive the boat and get their pictures taken driving the boat and stuff like that.
Any thought to doing something at night?
We thought about it, but we do a lot of private parties too at night in the evening. That's when we do corporate events and private charters where people rent the boat to do birthday parties, family reunions, weddings, things of that nature. So it's tough to be able to set a perfect, a schedule, people cruising or set time at nighttime because it's always changing. So
They had a nice 4th of July
fireworks
nighttime
cruise.
tour, and
wow.
the boat was loaded for that, and what a beautiful place to watch the fireworks from and have great food and entertainment, the whole works. It was nicely done. So they've got a lot of special events like that.
Yeah, we do. Mother's Day brunch is another good one.
Oh, really? I didn't even know you. So you have brunches on the boat?
Yes, ma'am. Typically just Mother's Day and Father's Day is when we do it. We do brunches, but if you can think of it, we can do it for you. Right? We can put it together.
So I just want to remind everyone who we have with us today. We have CEO Bob Wolfgang from Tiki Boatworks, and we have the owner of the Dutch Apple, Anthony Renna. So, we just talked about schedule, didn't know about, before I started to cough a little bit, didn't know about brunch. Something that people probably do or are aware of a little bit, but said, what has happened and where is it? the aqueducts. Bob, that was something you were
Actually, I
involved
started
with.
that with Anthony's father, Lou Renna, and one other partner back in 2004, which seems like a lifetime ago.
Mm-hmm.
And we had a great time, and Anthony was very involved in it. And we ran it for 8 years, which was quite a period of time, considering the many challenges that we faced. And what we ran into was increased maintenance costs, increased costs for insurances, and basically the fact that one of the biggest things in this area is that you have a relatively short season to be
Sure.
operating.
Sure.
For the 8 years that we ran, well, maybe the exception of 6 months when somebody tried it down in New York, we're the only amphibious tour business in New York State, and at the end of the 8 years, we kind of realized why.
Wow, I didn't
So,
realize that you would.
We were the only ones in New York
Okay,
State.
wow.
So yeah, again, I thought we had a good product. It's something that was certainly well received by the community. We had people come in from all over the world. We kind of made, like Anthony, we kind of made our visitors feel like they were special, that they were welcome in Albany, and that there was something going on, that we were interested in tourism, and
But
it paid off.
you'd also done, there were trolley tours.
Oh,
and
yeah,
things
yeah,
that
we
they
did
done. I
that.
know I had done that.
Oh yeah, we did trolley tours, and actually Anthony right now can still arrange through the Dutch Apple trolley tours or step-on guides for bus tours for visiting groups. So it's still being offered, but it got to a point where we looked at an alternative departure point where we had hoped it would generate more customers, and we just weren't able to make the deal work. And by that time, our vessels were getting to be up there, 8 years old, and you start having a little problems, and so the maintenance costs were increasing, so we figured
So who buys a vessel like
we
that?
sold those. Actually, we sold them to a gentleman down in Key West,
Okay.
and they had a company that had tours situated around the country, so it worked out fine for him. And actually, after he took them to Key West, he ran into problems down there, and he relocated them somewhere else, as I understand it. But we had a great time. We had a great group of people. It was a fun place to work, and but you're liable to, someone may be back with that down the road. I don't know that what the climate is right now, whether or not they'd have any more success than we did rather. But right now, again, I think at least there are ways for people to get on the water. And actually, one of the things that you should know about is Anthony and Melissa work very closely with the Convention and Visitors Bureau, in particular the Visitor Center, in providing programming for children in conjunction with them. So there may be a classroom component, and then they go, correct?
Correct.
You describe that.
Tell me about
Yeah,
that.
so we work in conjunction with the Visitor Center, Maeve McEnany, and we put together a program where the kids come down to the boat. They take an hour tour with us, learn about the history of the river. We usually have a narrator dressed like Henry Hudson.
Oh, okay.
And speak to the kids as if they're part of the crew and discovering the river on the first time. And then after that, they go back to the Visitor Center and they go into the planetarium and they walk through the Visitor Center and learn all the history there. And it's a good price point for the schools,
Sure.
and bringing the kids out to kind of teach them a little bit about the river and show it to them instead of reading about it in a book.
Sure, very cool. I'm going to ask both of you. I mean, we can't do this program and talk about, the stuff for kids and what's going on down there without acknowledging, the loss of the Half Moon.
Oh, it was terrible. And unfortunately, we do a lot of crazy things.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we didn't hear about that until it was probably
Almost
well on its way,
already done.
because
Done with.
otherwise, I think we probably, I would have at least tried to get a group together to encourage a fundraising initiative to try to keep it here, because, when we used to do our tours, and the same with Anthony, we'd be able to go right down and point it out, and it was a huge.
I'm trying to think, a year and a half already, or more than that.
By 2 years now. Yeah.
But it was a
You
huge
used to come up here all
attraction.
of September
Sure.
into October, you'd be able to see it.
And as you mentioned, the educational opportunities that you're providing, that was great for the kids to be on
Be
that.
able to go on that.
We used to go down and we'd sail and welcome it, and when it came up the river, and it was just it was a nice addition. We talk about additions to the riverfront and activities. That was I thought a huge win, and it just was unfortunate because even when it came back up, we would be able to talk about what it had done since it was here last.
Sure.
They filmed a movie in wherever when they had
traveled all
they
over
used
the
to-
world.
really?
with it.
They used to paint it. They would change the colors on it and repaint it to but it was one of the nicest era vessels, most accurate, I believe.
it was.
So it would get sought out, and they would use it in all these different movies.
Now it's in Europe.
Yeah, and a couple weeks ago we had the replica of the Nina and the Pinta up here
yeah.
at the Albany Yacht Club.
Yeah,
Pretty neat.
I had seen some of that on the news.
Yeah, and I talked to one of the people at the yacht club. They said they had over 1,000 visitors there a day for the 5 days that they were there. So people.
And I think there was some Scarano connection. It seems to me I remembered something.
Yeah, on the they did that type of. They did not do the Half Moon, but they did. They mentioned a Nina Pinta, one of those, Santa Maria, one of those, right?
Yeah, there was something like that. When we get them on, we'll talk about that too. But
Hopefully they'll bring some photos or
Sure, that we can show
of some
them.
of those, some of the vessels. The vessels are huge. I like the ones that you'd see in the old Mutiny on the Bounty. Those huge sailing vessels have come out of the port down at Scarano Boat.
Scarano's.
Amazing.
Yeah.
You talked about, Bob, you mentioned the short season. What kind of challenge is it? When we're talking about an abbreviated season, I mean, that's got to be very challenging. When do you actually start with the tours? And if they go through, I would assume early fall, maybe?
Well, we tend to get in the river and get going because we dry dock at Scarano's every winter. That's where we pull the boat out of the water. So depending on how harsh the winter was and what the weather's like, we try to get in the water usually the second or third week in April, and we'll start cruising by then, and then we'll cruise right until November 1st.
Okay.
So typically once we get started, we do our sightseeing cruises Saturday and Sunday until Memorial Day, and that's what starts our summer schedule from Wednesday through Sunday, and that goes until Labor Day. And then from Labor Day to the end of the year, we go back to our Saturday, Sunday, just, for our sightseeing cruises. We're always open for private charters and parties.
Okay.
But it is tough, when you have rain, and like we've had the rain
Sure.
here in the past couple months, and it does make it challenging, but again, it's fun. I'd rather be on a boat and on the water than sitting in an office somewhere.
Sure.
We used to try to operate, we'd kick in the season around the same time they did. But the difference with us is that when you're in April and into May, depending upon what the spring runoff is and the storms and that,
Sure.
there were times that you'd have to go down to the river and look each day and say, nah, we aren't going out. Because the current would be so great that we'd do great going south. We'd wave to them. When it came time to go north, we'd still be going south
Sure.
because of the
Sure.
current so bad. But so that impacted on our seasons too. But as you know, summers go quickly around.
Summers do go very quickly.
Too fast.
Bob, you have been attracted to water and attracted to water businesses, it seems, since you left law enforcement.
Yeah, it's not only the water part. I believed in what the city had to offer. I think that the tours that we offered, and Anthony's always been involved with me. What we had to offer was kind of unique, and if you remember, Mayor, that when people went out, it wasn't necessarily. At the end of the tour, they'd say, "Okay, I'm going to remember who lived in that house and who built that house." When people got off, they would oftentimes say, "Geez, I saw this. I never knew that was there," even if they lived in Albany all their lives, and then they had a good time. So that was what we were selling, the good time part of it, and we basically kind of wet their whistle and say, "Okay, this is a little bit about that. Now you can go back and learn more about it, whether it be the Slater, whether it be riding on the Dutch Apple." And we might have mentioned the Slater. There's a very interesting book that was written by Bob Cross.
Bob Cross,
Yeah, about the destroyer escorts. If you get a chance to, it's amazing.
Sure.
And the fact that now that you've got one down there, you can see what their real role was in the wars rather. But it's a very, very interesting book. And when he was writing it, he actually interviewed as many people as he could get who served on the Slater, the destroyer escorts during the war. He'd make appointments for like 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
Wow.
And in many cases, because you were dealing with World War II veterans, a good number of those appointments never were able to, materialized. But wonderful reading. You'd get a kick out of it.
Well, what I find interesting too, when you were just saying that, your people would be on a tour and you see something and now you get off and you want to find out more. I mean, it wasn't when I was in the Dutch Apple, that was when I first learned about Scarano, because you pass by and you mentioned that and you see the boats, and then I never had actually been physically there until you took me.
When I can go down and see the Dutch Apple there during the wintertime, visit it.
Exactly.
Come down with a paintbrush and paint.
So what do you do during the off season?
We work on the boat primarily. do a lot of sanding, painting, refurbish. It's an all-wood boat, so
Okay.
the maintenance and the upkeep on it is year-round.
Wow.
So
I
we
can-
never stop.
Okay, I can imagine that's rugged. Let's shift gears, talk a little bit about Tiki Boatworks.
What about it?
And so when people see them, they think, oh wow, this is fun. This is something you get on and you're drinking and whatever. There are lots of different kinds of regulations.
Of course, no. In the case of, we'll say, the 3 boats that are operating on Lake George, or the one in Saratoga, or the 2 in Buffalo, they're all regulated by the state parks folks, and they're inspected. They have to have a licensed captain on the commercial application if you're taking
Okay.
people out. So you have a licensed captain. Your capacity is limited by them, and they are inspected the same as the Coast Guard inspects those that are on navigable waterways. And actually, we have the Coast Guard looking over ours as well, and they'll have input in the capacity levels. But yeah, they're built. They're safe vessels. They're just basically like a big barge that's motorized. And the one person that had one up in Lake George last year, his testimonial for us was that we were out over 300 hours on Lake George, and you know how choppy Lake George gets. The 300 hours, no one ever spilled their drink. So I mean,
Oh, geez.
obviously, so that was it
Sure.
says a lot for the stability.
Stability.
And the way they work. Coast Guard wouldn't buy that as a way to measure.
No, not a way.
No
I
surprise
don't think
there.
so.
They're very well built. They're stable, and we are certainly governed by enough different
Sure.
regulatory agencies like everyone else, like them.
I think everybody that looks at them says, geez, I'd love to have one of those in my hand. How realistic is that, though? They're mostly tour, but for tours,
No,
right?
you can have one.
You can have your own.
Exactly. There are commercial applications for people who want to go into business, but if someone's fortunate enough to have a lakefront piece of property or a riverfront piece of property, it's a nice way to go out and just relax, and it doesn't have to necessarily be viewed as a alcohol bar,
Sure.
which is what they got hung up on Lake George because of all of the problems with the alcohol up there. But then when they kick back, they realized that in the case of the tours, it's actually a regulated consumption of alcohol, unlike the people who go up and rent a motorboat
Yeah.
with 4 cases of beer and get in their motorboat and have no idea how to operate them and then get intoxicated besides. This, you've got a captain, and you've got, actually, the captains receive tips training like the bartenders
Oh, okay.
do, so they know what to be watching for underage and intoxicated. And there's actually an agreement, so people can't get into that mode.
Sure.
You act up, you're back into the shore. So they
How long does it take to build one?
we can knock them out in about 2 weeks now. Our
Wow.
guys are really getting good at it.
That's pretty quick.
So when would you like yours?
Oh, you know what? Tomorrow.
You should give us one to put on the river by
I
the
gotta
boat.
go.
Don't think it's possible, right?
I will. Hey, we've got one.
Wow.
You asked for it.
So, in your facility here in Colonie, you build them, you're ready, and you ship them right out.
We do. We have our own crane up there, compliments of Dutch Apple Cruise Line. We load them onto a trailer, and when we get to the destination, we reassemble them and just use a crane to launch them into the water. So yeah, it goes quite well.
That's got to be pretty neat, actually, to see one. Like you see them traveling on the highway. The back of that would be really.
There you
neat.
go. Okay, that's on your list of things
That'll
to do.
that'll be on my
I'll
list.
get your lunch again.
I think that would be interesting. You see all kinds of things being
Well, we're going to
transported.
we'll have one going out in about 2 weeks, week and a half, going to the state fair, so you can come and watch that one be loaded.
That's right. Tell us very quickly. We have a short period of time. Tell us about that at the
Albany
state fair.
County is going to be represented, one of your manufacturers. We're going out to the state fair. We're going to be on site for the duration of the fair. We're going to put one of our Tiki boats in that little lake pond in the center of the fairgrounds, and then we're going to have a booth out there, again, promoting our product and manufacturing in Albany. Again, there's manufacturing going on. Not many people know about it, but when we indicated an interest in doing
Sure.
that, obviously
Sure.
the county exec and our friends in the village of Colonie,
Yeah.
they just welcomed us with open arms. Because we were working upward to 8 or 9 people at a time when we were real busy there, so that's not bad.
Wonderful. Well, congratulations on that. I'm going to have you back. I'm definitely, Anthony, having you back with Sgrano.
Sounds great. Look forward to
We're going to
it.
talk more. People want to know more about Dutch Apple and the schedule. Still plenty of time to get out on the water. DutchAppleCruises.com. Tiki Boatworks. I don't have the website handy.
Can't tell you. And it's nycruiseandtikis.com. nycruiseandtikis.com.
Thank you very much, Bob, Anthony.
Thank you.
Appreciate that.
having us on.
And we just gone very quickly through our time, folks. I'm Mary Rozak, Director of Communications with Albany County. We'll see you again soon.